the arcane lexicon of Lycancraft, 𝙎𝙬𝙖𝙙𝙬𝙨 is not merely a poetic metaphor. It is a philosophical framework, a mental construct designed to probe the very nature of existence. It is an attempt to reconcile the tangible world we inhabit with the unseen, multidimensional structures that inform, shape, and ultimately govern it. At its core, this concept asks, what if the world we perceive is itself only a shadow of a greater, more complex reality? To illustrate, consider the familiar idea of a shadow cast by a physical object. A three-dimensional body casts a two-dimensional shadow when illuminated by light. The shadow is real, it exists, but it is inherently a representation, a projection of the object in fewer dimensions. Shadows are dependent on the object that casts them, yet they exist as distinct phenomena in their own right. Lycancraft takes this metaphor further. The physical body, what we typically understand as the tangible, measurable self, is itself a shadow, a manifestation within a lower dimensional plane of a higher dimensional existence. In simple terms, just as the 2D shadow represents a 3D body, the 3D physical body is a shadow of a 4D source. The body that we see and touch is a partial expression of a more complete self that exists beyond immediate perception. This mental model, while abstract, serves as a tool for understanding how our lived reality relates to higher dimensional existence. This leads naturally to the concept of shadows in shadows. If the body is a shadow of a higher dimensional being, then the phenomena we observe around us, the world of matter, energy, and events, are themselves shadows of an even more intricate network of higher order realities. Each layer of reality casts its own shadows into the layers below it, creating an endless fractal cascade of shadows, each dependent upon and yet distinct from the dimension above. In this framework, the physical realm is not primary, it is derivative. It is a stage, a projection of complex multidimensional interactions that we can only perceive partially. Lycancraft does not simply describe this as an abstract thought experiment. It is a practical model for understanding how consciousness interacts with the world. By contemplating shadows of shadows, one can begin to trace the hidden forces, motives, and karmic flows that shape reality itself. The karmic web is central to this understanding. Every action, intention, and thought generates ripples across dimensions. Just as a shadow shifts when the object or light source moves, the physical consequences of our actions are reflections of deeper currents in the higher planes. Shadows in Shadows teaches that our lives are not isolated phenomena. They are nodes in a vast, interconnected lattice of cause and effect that transcends space and time. Karma is not linear. It is multidimensional, reverberating through the unseen frameworks from which our reality is projected. By engaging with this paradigm, the practitioner of Lycancraft begins to see the world differently. Conflict and suffering are no longer arbitrary, they are reflections, shadows of misalignments or distortions in higher planes. Likewise, moments of clarity, inspiration, or synchronicity are glimpses into the harmonies of the higher dimensional source. Every shadow in the physical plane tells a story of its source, and by studying these stories, one can start to decode the architecture of existence. Moreover, Shadows in Shadows emphasizes the role of perception. Just as a shadow's shape depends on the angle of light and the surface it falls upon, our understanding of reality depends on the filters of consciousness we bring to it. Expanding awareness allows one to perceive not only the immediate shadows, but also hints of the forms that cast them. Meditation, ritual, and heightened attentiveness are thus not mere practices. They are tools for tracing the contours of higher dimensional truths through their echoes in the physical plane. The concept also highlights interconnectedness. No shadow exists in isolation. It is the product of interaction between light and object. Likewise, no life, no event, no choice exists in isolation. All phenomena are intertwined within the karmic web, a lattice of cause and consequence that extends beyond the temporal and spatial limitations of the third dimension. By understanding shadows in shadows, one gains a perspective that transcends duality. Life is not merely the sum of its visible parts, but a dynamic interplay of invisible forces projecting themselves into perception. As the metaphor deepens, celestial bodies offer a potent illustration. Consider the moon, which neither shines on its own nor is static in its influence. The moon absorbs and reflects the light of the sun, casting shadows that are dependent on both its own form and the illumination of a higher source. In Lycancraft, the sun represents the primary, higher dimensional realities, the unseen forces, truths, and consciousness that generate the light of existence, while the moon represents the reflected, intermediary planes, such as the physical realm and the shadowed forms we inhabit. Just as the moon's shadows shift depending on its position, the shadows of our reality, the shapes of our lives, thoughts, and actions, shift according to the alignment of higher dimensional sources and karmic patterns. The moon's shadows are themselves shadows of a shadow, echoing the fractal, recursive nature of existence. In essence, Shadows in Shadows is a contemplation of reality as a recursive reflection, each level revealing the next, each shadow pointing to a source, and every moment offering a glimpse into the infinite tapestry that underlies existence. In this framework, understanding is not about conquering the physical world. It is about perceiving the subtle patterns that cast it, learning to move in harmony with the deeper currents, and recognizing that even our most solid, tangible experiences are echoes of a greater, unseen reality, like moonlight tracing the contours of the night under the sun's illumination. This lens, Lycancraft teaches that mastery of self and understanding of the universe are inseparable. By perceiving and working with the shadows, one aligns oneself with the higher dimensional sources, navigating the karmic web with awareness and intent. The journey from shadow to source is not literal travel. It is the cultivation of insight, the awakening of perception, and the recognition that our physical world is a reflection of reflections, illuminated by higher truths, as the moon is by the sun. Shadows in shadows thus invites one to see beyond the surface, to recognize the layers of reality casting shadows upon one another, and to perceive the interplay of light, source, and reflection that composes the totality of existence.